Okay, everybody, hello. This is Dr. Joseph P. Farrell. It is March 8th, 2012, the year of the apocalypse. I'm taking note that in spite of the best effort of Yahwists from Tehran to Tel Aviv, the apocalypse has not yet occurred, and I have noted that there have been no asteroids, ET invasions, sudden holograms of Jesus appearing in the skies. So far the apocalypse year seems to be plugging along, as are we here at the Nefarium. Now, I have an article that I want to talk about. It'll probably end up being a ramble, but first, before we get to that, I want to thank everybody for your website memberships, for your comments, for your donations. There have been one or two of you that I'm deeply indebted to for your kindness. I have been working like crazy on the sequel to Babylon's Banksters, and that has been expensive. So once again, I appreciate all of you for your donations and your prayers. Now, let's get to the article. Last Friday, we had a members vid chat, and this article is brought to my attention by a Mr. P.T. But as I said last Friday, we had a vid chat for the members on the website, and I made a prediction to those members that pretty soon we were going to hear from Germany, and that Germany would probably want to consider recalling all of the gold that it has supposedly stored in the New York Federal Reserve. In other words, that Germany would physically take possession of their gold once again, just as did Hugo Chavez down in Venezuela. Well, it just so happens that there's an article out yesterday. I'll link it to this article or to this news and views on my website. It says Germany to review Bundesbank gold reserves in Frankfurt, Paris, London, and New York Fed. Now, here's what caught my attention, all right, and what I want to comment about. In the article, it says that the German Federal Audit Office has criticized the Bundesbank's, that's their version of the Federal Reserve, lax auditing and inventory controls. Oh golly, another central bank with lax auditing and inventory controls. Gee golly, go figure. But anyway, it says Germany's sizable gold reserves. Now listen to this figure, 3,396.3 tons of gold, or some 73.7% of Germany's national foreign exchange reserves. Now, it points out that in this article, the European Central Bank has floated loans of 3.02 trillion euros. That's 31% larger than the entire German economy. All right. Now, when I read that, folks, those two things, 3,396 tons of gold, I was prompted to ask myself two things. Number one, where did all of that gold come from? And number two, why is it in the American Federal Reserve? All right. Now, I'm going to crawl way out on a limb and suggest that some of that gold could very probably be some of the gold that the Nazis plundered and looted from Europe during World War II. And I'm going to go further and speculate that the reason it's in the New York Federal Reserve is because it represents a deal that was worked out, as I've been arguing for any number of years now since Babylon's Banksters, that it may represent part of that money laundering deal struck between the post-war Nazi International and the Anglo-American corporate elites. But now, the other thing that bothers me here is the story out there that's been popularized in certain circles. Lord Blackheath in the United Kingdom. Certainly there are other names on the internet that have been talking about groups of white hats, good guys, good elites, coming in on their white stallions to rescue the world from a financial collapse and so on and so forth. So in other words, we've got the same old meme. This elite versus that elite, good elite versus bad elite. And we're supposed to believe all this, but apparently, in connection with that story, as I've been blogging about for a number of years now, there's been an excess of gold attached to this mythology, particularly since Lord Blackheath in the United Kingdom got up and said, well, you know, if this represents a gold supply, then there's a heck of a lot more gold than we've been told. And again, I do place some credence in that story because we do have the story of the Golden Lily operation that Japan conducted in World War II, literally combing the Orient of its gold. And incidentally, it should be pointed out that in the official figures around the world, the gold production of the Orient was never calculated in. So there has been this kind of doctoring of the books all along as to the amount of gold available in the world. But the figures that Blackheath gives are astronomical. So one has to wonder what the game is here. If there is, as I suspect, a two-tiered financial system that these falsified bearer bonds are representing on the world market, and that two-tier system may represent, I don't say that it does, but that it may represent a hidden financial mechanism for some sort of breakaway civilization or a kind of a fallback financial system for the elite in the wake of what some are arguing is a planned collapse, then Germany's move is very interesting. If there's a huge hidden supply of gold, Germany getting its hands back on its gold isn't going to do much. If all of that supposedly extra gold were to flood the market, the price of gold would collapse. Now, the other problem here, and this I hope everybody has caught, the official amounts of gold that are supposedly in existence are certainly nowhere close to being able to be a gold-backed, excuse me, a gold-backed reserve currency for a new global system of finance. Germany's gold would represent a mere fraction of what is needed to put into place a global financial system backed by gold. So in other words, I don't see this move as being anything on the way or steps on the way to restoring some sort of modified gold standard in the world. So what this move represents, I don't know, except I do know that Germany is trying to secure its position, in its independent position, by getting its hands back on its gold reserves. The real question, as I pointed out last week, the real question is going to be whether or not the Federal Reserve actually releases that gold to Germany. Germany's sitting on top of a very, in terms of all the great powers in the world that have gold reserves, Germany's sitting on top of a huge chunk of it. So it remains to be seen whether that call for getting their gold back will be honored by the Federal Reserve. So stay tuned, folks. It's going to get kind of interesting. Again, thank you to all of those who've made contributions, donations. I really do appreciate it. And we'll see you on the flip side, everybody. God bless.